I was staring at a text message that would change everything. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. The message was from my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, and it contained a photo that made my blood run cold. It showed my mother, Victoria, my stepfather, Frank, my sister, Chloe, and my brother, Derek, boarding a luxury cruise ship. Champagne glasses raised high, their faces glowing with excitement. The caption Mrs. Chen had added read, "Saw your family at the port. Thought you were with them? Hope everything's okay, dear." But I wasn't with them. I was 8 hours away, white-knuckling through a blizzard on Christmas Eve, driving through conditions that had shut down half the interstate. I was coming home because Mom had called me 2 weeks ago, her voice trembling with urgency, telling me that Grandma Evelyn had taken a bad fall and they desperately needed my help. She said they couldn't afford to hire a nurse, and could I please transfer that money I'd been saving into the family account so they could cover the medical bills and keep Grandma comfortable through the holidays. $12,000. My entire savings. The money I'd spent 3 years scraping together, working double shifts at the design firm, taking freelance projects until 2 in the morning, skipping meals and social events. $12,000 that was supposed to be the down payment on my own graphic design studio, the dream I'd been building since college. I'd transferred it without hesitation because family comes first, right? That's what I'd always been taught. That's what I'd always believed. If you're listening to this story and you've ever felt taken advantage of by the people who are supposed to love you, please hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you're going to want to hear how this ends. Drop a comment if you've ever been in a situation where you had to choose between family loyalty and your own sanity. Now let me take you back to the beginning, because you need to understand how I ended up here. My story doesn't start on that Christmas Eve. It starts 23 years ago when I was born to Victoria and James Harris. Dad was everything Mom wasn't. Patient, kind, present. He was a high school history teacher who genuinely loved his job, even though it didn't pay much. He coached soccer on weekends and made the best chocolate chip pancakes every Sunday morning. When he looked at me, I felt seen, valued, like I mattered for who I was, not what I could do for him. Mom was different. Victoria had always been ambitious, always chasing something bigger. She worked in real estate and was obsessed with appearances. Our house had to look perfect. I had to look perfect. Everything was about what the neighbors thought, what her colleagues thought, what strangers at the grocery store thought. Dad balanced her out, made our home feel warm despite her cold edges. He was my safe harbor. When I was 12, Dad died. A sudden heart attack at 41, in the middle of coaching practice. One minute he was laughing with the kids, the next he was on the ground. By the time the ambulance arrived, he was gone. The world stopped making sense that day. But I didn't get time to grieve, because everything changed so fast it felt like a tornado had ripped through our lives. At the funeral, I remember standing next to Mom, watching her dab at dry eyes with a tissue. She wasn't crying, she was networking. I heard her talking to Dad's friend Tom about selling our house because it was too full of memories, and she needed a fresh start. Dad had been dead for 4 days, and she was already planning to erase him. Grandma Evelyn, Dad's mother, was devastated. She held me tight at the funeral and whispered, "You're so much like him, sweetheart. Don't ever let anyone dim that light." I didn't understand what she meant then. I do now. 6 months after Dad died, Mom started dating Frank. She didn't ease into it or try to be subtle. She brought him to dinner one night and announced they were getting serious. Frank was everything Dad wasn't. Loud, flashy, always talking about his big deals that never materialized. He sold cars, but the way he talked, you'd think he was running a Fortune 500 company. He wore too much cologne and laughed too loud at his own jokes. I hated him on sight, but I was 13 and grieving, and nobody asked my opinion. They got married 8 months later in a rushed ceremony that felt more like a business transaction than a wedding. Frank moved in with his 2 kids from his first marriage. Chloe was 11, pretty and already obsessed with her appearance like Mom. Derek was 14, sullen and angry about his parents' divorce. And suddenly I was sharing my home, my space, my grieving process with 3 strangers who resented me as much as I resented them. The hierarchy established itself immediately. Frank's kids were going through a tough time and needed understanding. I was strong and resilient and needed to step up and help the family blend. Translation: I was expected to sacrifice my needs, my space, my feelings to make everyone else comfortable. Dad's memory got packed away in boxes in the attic. His photos came down from the walls. Mom redecorated the entire house in colors Frank liked. It was like Dad had never existed. Grandma Evelyn was horrified. She tried to talk to Mom, tried to make her see what she was doing to me. but Mom shut her down. "You need to let go, Evelyn. James is gone. I have a new life now, and Alex needs to adjust." When Grandma kept pushing, Mom started limiting my time with her. Suddenly, I was too busy for weekend visits or phone calls that lasted more than a few minutes. So Grandma did something drastic. She sold her house, the home she'd lived in for 40 years, and bought the property behind ours. It had a main house and a small guest house. She gave Mom the main house, completely paid off, under one condition. She got to live in the guest house for as long as she wanted, and she got to see me whenever she wanted. Mom agreed because it was a free house worth $300,000. Grandma moved into that tiny guest house and became my lifeline. High school was survival mode. Chloe was popular and manipulative, always playing the victim when she got in trouble. She'd steal my clothes and forget to return them. She'd use my expensive art supplies for her school projects and ruin them. When I complained, Mom would say I was being selfish and jealous. Derek was worse. He had a mean streak and knew exactly how to hurt people. He'd tell me I was the reason Dad died, that the stress of dealing with Mom and me had killed him. When I'd run to my room crying, Frank would tell me to toughen up and stop being so sensitive. But the worst part was the money. Frank gambled. Constantly. And he was terrible at it. There were always emergencies. The mortgage was behind. The car payment was late. Chloe needed money for cheer uniforms. Derek needed bail money after getting caught with weed. And every time, they'd turn to Grandma. She'd pull out her checkbook, her teacher's pension stretching thinner and thinner, and she'd help because she loved Mom and didn't want us to be homeless. I got my first job at 15, working at a coffee shop after school. Mom made me contribute to household expenses immediately. $200 a month from my minimum wage paycheck. "You're part of this family, you need to contribute." Chloe didn't work. Derek didn't work. Just me. I told myself it was fine. It was making me responsible. Building character. When I graduated high school, I got a full scholarship to a state university for graphic design. It was my escape hatch, my chance to finally get away. I worked 3 jobs in college to pay for living expenses. I sent money home every month because Mom would call crying about bills. I believed I was helping. I believed I was being a good daughter. The summer after my sophomore year, something happened that should have been my wake-up call. I came home for a weekend visit and found Grandma in her guest house, looking frail and exhausted. She pulled me aside and told me she needed to show me something. She took out a folder filled with canceled checks and bank statements. "Alex, I need you to see this. I've given your mother over $80,000 since she married Frank. She tells me it's for emergencies, but nothing ever changes. The emergencies never stop." I looked through the papers, check after check. 5,000 here, 3,000 there, 10,000 for a medical emergency that I later found out was Frank's gambling debt. I felt sick. But when I confronted Mom, she turned it around on me. "How dare you accuse me of stealing from Evelyn? She offers that money out of love. You're poisoning Grandma against me. You've always been jealous that I found happiness after your father died." That conversation ended with me apologizing to her. She made me feel like I was the bad guy for even questioning it. That's how good she was at manipulation. I went back to school feeling guilty and confused, and I didn't bring it up again. I convinced myself Grandma had misunderstood. That Mom wouldn't really steal from her own mother-in-law. That families worked through things together. After college, I moved to the city 2 hours away and got a job at a respected design firm. The work was intense but rewarding. I was good at what I did. Really good. I won awards, brought in major clients, and worked my way up from junior designer to senior designer in just 3 years. I was finally building the life I'd always wanted. I had work friends who actually liked me. I went on dates. I had a tiny studio apartment that was mine and mine alone. For the first time since Dad died, I felt like I could breathe. But the calls from home never stopped. Mom would call every few weeks with a new crisis. The roof was leaking. The car broke down. Chloe needed money to start her influencer career and buy camera equipment. Derek needed help with his rent after losing another job. And every single time, I'd send money. 500 here, 1,000 there. It added up fast, but I told myself this was temporary. Once they got on their feet, it would stop. It never stopped. When I was 26, I got promoted to art director. The salary bump was significant, and for the first time, I felt financially stable. I could save. I could plan. I started dreaming about opening my own design studio, being my own boss, having creative freedom. I opened a separate savings account that Mom didn't know about and started putting away every extra penny. $1,200 a month, every month. It hurt, it meant sacrifice, but I was building towards something real. I didn't tell my family about the promotion. Some instinct told me to keep it quiet. And I was right to, because 2 months later, Mom called with a new request. She wanted me to open a joint account for family emergencies, so it would be easier to transfer money when they needed help. She made it sound reasonable, practical. This way you don't have to drop everything to send money each time. It'll just be there when we need it. I hesitated. Something felt wrong. But then she said, "Don't you trust your own mother?" And I caved. I opened the account and put $3,000 in it as a starting point. I told her it was for real emergencies only, she promised. The account was empty within 2 weeks. When I called to ask what happened, she said Derek had a medical emergency and needed the money for tests. When I asked for receipts or hospital bills, she got defensive. "Why do you need receipts? Don't you trust me?" "This is exactly why I didn't want to ask you for help. You always make me feel like a criminal." I dropped it. I always dropped it. That was the pattern, and I couldn't seem to break it. Meanwhile, Chloe's Instagram career was taking off in the worst way. She had about 50,000 followers, mostly bought, and she was constantly posting photos of designer clothes, fancy restaurants, and luxury vacations. People would comment asking how she afforded her lifestyle, and she'd post vague things about working hard and manifesting abundance. The truth was, every designer bag was bought with money she'd manipulated from Mom, who got it from Grandma or me. Every vacation was funded by family money. But her followers didn't know that. They thought she was some self-made success story. She started calling me directly, bypassing Mom. "Hey Alex, I have this amazing opportunity to partner with a brand, but I need to buy some of their products first to show I'm serious. Can you loan me $2,000? I'll pay you back when I get the partnership." She never got the partnerships. She never paid me back. But she'd get angry if I said no, accusing me of being unsupportive and jealous of her success. Derek was even worse. He was 30 by this point and had been through 6 jobs in 2 years. He'd moved back in with Mom and Frank and was supposedly figuring things out. What he was actually doing was drinking heavily and betting on sports. I knew because his wife Sarah would call me sometimes, crying, telling me about the money he was losing, the lies he was telling. She was trapped with 2 small kids and no way out. I tried to help her once, offering to pay for a hotel so she could leave for a few days and clear her head. Derek found out and called me screaming, telling me I was trying to destroy his family. Mom backed him up, said I should stay out of their marriage. Through all of this, I kept visiting Grandma every few weeks. She was in her late 70s now, and I could see her declining. She moved slower, she forgot things occasionally, but her mind was still sharp about the important stuff. She'd look at me with those wise, sad eyes and say, "You're carrying too much, sweetheart. You're going to break if you don't set these people down." But I couldn't. The guilt was too heavy. These were my family. You don't abandon family. That's what Mom always said. That's what I believed. So I kept sending money, kept showing up, kept trying to be enough. 3 years into my savings plan, I had finally done it. $12,000 in my secret account. It was enough to quit my job and launch my studio. I had clients lined up. I had a business plan. I had done the math 100 times. It was time. I was going to give my 2 weeks' notice after the new year. Then, Mom called. It was 3 weeks before Christmas, and her voice was shaking. "Alex, something terrible has happened. Mom took a bad fall. She's okay, but she needs round-the-clock care for a while. The doctor says she can't be alone. We can't afford a home health nurse, and I can't take time off work right now because we're behind on the mortgage. I need you to send money for a nurse, and I need you to come home for Christmas to help us figure out a long-term plan." My stomach dropped. Is Grandma okay? Can I talk to her? She's sleeping right now. The pain medication makes her groggy. But Alex, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. You're the only one who's responsible enough to help. Can you send the money today? I felt that familiar pull. The guilt, the obligation, the fear that if I said no, something terrible would happen and it would be my fault. How much do you need? $12,000 would cover a nurse through the holidays and into January, plus some modifications to make the guest house safer for her. I know it's a lot, but Alex, please. She's your grandmother. She raised you when I was working. Don't you want to help her? There it was, the manipulation wrapped in love, the implication that if I said no, I didn't really care about Grandma. I should have asked more questions. I should have demanded to speak to Grandma directly. I should have asked for doctor's notes and bills. But I didn't. I just transferred the money. All of it. My entire dream, gone in one transaction. "I'll drive home on Christmas Eve," I said. "I'll help however I can." "Thank you, baby." You're the only one I can count on. Don't tell Mom about the money, okay? You know how proud she is. She'd feel terrible if she knew you were sacrificing your savings for her." I agreed. Of course I agreed. I always agreed. For the next 2 weeks, I tried calling home multiple times a day. Mom's phone went straight to voicemail. Grandma's landline rang and rang. I texted Chloe and Derek. Nothing. Radio silence. A cold feeling started growing in my chest. Something was wrong. But what could I do from 2 hours away, except worry? Then I tried calling again on a Tuesday afternoon, and Frank answered Grandma's phone. "Oh, hey, Alex. Sorry. We've all been super busy. Evelyn's doing fine. Just resting a lot. Don't worry about it. Can I talk to her? She's napping. You know how old people are. They sleep a lot. Frank, I'd really like to talk to her. Can you wake her up? Listen, we've got it handled. You don't need to worry. See you at Christmas." He hung up. That cold feeling turned to ice. I called Mom immediately. She picked up on the first ring, and I could hear music and laughter in the background. "Alex, hi. What's up?" "What's up, Mom? I've been trying to call for 2 weeks. How's Grandma?" "Oh, she's fine. Better every day. Listen, I'm in the middle of something. Can I call you back? Are you at a party?" "Just a little pre-holiday thing with some friends. Nothing big. I really have to go. Love you." She hung up before I could respond. I sat there staring at my phone, my heart racing. Something was very, very wrong. Every instinct was screaming at me. But what could I do? Call the police and say what? My family won't answer the phone? They'd think I was crazy. So I waited. And I planned to drive home early. Not on Christmas Eve like I'd promised, but on December 23rd. I'd surprise them. I'd see for myself what was going on. Then, on December 23rd at noon, as I was packing my car, my phone buzzed with that text from Mrs. Chen. The photo of my entire family boarding a cruise ship, not caring for Grandma, not worried about her recovery. On a luxury vacation, toasting with champagne, while I'd just given them $12,000 for her medical care. I got in my car and started driving. Not on the safe, clear route I'd planned, through a blizzard that meteorologists were telling people to avoid. I drove through whiteout conditions because I needed to get home. I needed to see Grandma. The rational part of my brain was quiet. The rage was loud. The fear was louder. 10 hours later, I pulled into the driveway past midnight on Christmas Eve. The house sat tomb dark and lifeless. 15 degrees, breath clouding the air, and the front door hung unlocked. Mom, who obsessively checked every lock 3 times each night, had left it open. In the kitchen, I found the note and the molded food. The casual cruelty of it hit me like a physical blow. They'd left her. They'd taken my money and left her alone in a freezing house. I ran to the guest house, my heart in my throat. Please let her be okay. Please let her be okay. The door was unlocked there too. Inside was even colder than the main house. Grandma was in her bed, buried under a single thin blanket, wearing a coat and hat. Her lips had a blue tint. When she saw me, tears started streaming down her face. "Oh, thank God," she whispered. "I thought I was going to die here." I pulled her into my arms, feeling how thin she'd gotten, how cold her hands were. "What happened? How long have they been gone?" 3 days. Victoria came and told me they were going on a trip. She said Derek would check on me every day. She turned down the heat to save money. But Derek never came. Nobody came. I called, but nobody answered. I tried to keep warm, but my arthritis is so bad, I couldn't get up to adjust the thermostat myself. I've been rationing my food. My heart medication ran out yesterday. Rage. Pure, white-hot rage. I got her warm first. I turned up the heat in both houses, piled every blanket I could find on her, made her hot soup and tea. I called an emergency pharmacy and paid extra to have her medications delivered within the hour. I sat with her while she slowly warmed up, checking her pulse, making sure she was really okay. As the color returned to her face, she gripped my hand. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I tried to warn you so many times. I tried to tell you what they really are. But you're such a good person, you couldn't see it. They're users, Alex. They've been using both of us for years." After I was certain she was stable, after I'd gotten food and medication into her, after I'd sat with her for an hour and watched her fall into a real, warm sleep, I went back to the main house. I made myself a cup of coffee, and then I sat down at the kitchen table with my laptop and my phone, and I started investigating. The joint account was empty. All $3,000 gone, plus the $12,000 I'd transferred for Grandma's care. I logged into Grandma's accounts using the information she'd given me years ago when she'd asked me to help her set up online. Banking. Her pension account had $500 left. It should have had over $40,000. Her savings account was completely empty. I spent the next 6 hours going through every transaction. The cruise had cost $8,000. I found charges at luxury stores where Chloe shopped, multiple cash withdrawals at the casino where Frank was a regular, hotel rooms, expensive dinners, spa treatments. They'd been planning this for months. The transaction started way before Mom's call about Grandma's fall. Then I found the emails. Mom had forgotten to log out of her account on the family computer. I know it was wrong to read them, but I was past caring about privacy. There was an entire thread between Mom and Frank about the Alex situation. They called it that, the Alex situation. Frank had written, "How much longer do we milk this? She's getting suspicious." Mom's response, "Don't worry, I know my daughter. She's a people pleaser. I'll tell her it's for Evelyn, and she'll empty her savings. She always does what I say when I invoke guilt or her dead father." My hands were shaking as I kept reading. There was another exchange from 2 weeks before the cruise. Frank, "Victoria, we need 12 grand more for the deluxe package. Think she's got it?" Mom, "Oh, she's got it. I saw her bank statement when I visited last year. She's been saving." I'll spin some story about Evelyn. Alex worships her grandmother. She'll pay whatever we ask. They'd planned it. Every detail, the fake fall, the urgent call, the amount they asked for. It was all calculated. I wasn't their daughter. I was their ATM. I found another email that made me want to vomit. It was from Mom to Chloe. "Your sister is so predictable. She makes decent money now but wastes it by sending it to us. She could have her own life, but she's too busy trying to earn my approval. It's kind of pathetic, honestly, but useful." Chloe had responded with laughing emojis. "She's such a doormat. Derek and I were literally just talking about how easy she is to manipulate. She'll never stand up to you." I sat there in that cold kitchen, reading my family's true thoughts about me, and something fundamental shifted inside me. It wasn't a breakdown. It was a breakthrough. The fog I'd been living in for 14 years lifted all at once, and I saw everything with crystal clarity. They didn't love me. They probably never had. I was a resource to be exploited, a fool to be mocked, a tool to be used. Every moment of closeness I thought we'd shared, every family dinner, every holiday, every "I love you," had been a transaction. They kept me close because I was useful. The moment I stopped being useful, I'd be discarded. The pain of that realization was excruciating. But underneath it was something else, something harder, something angry, something that was done being used. I didn't cry. I didn't break down. I got strategic. If they wanted to play games, I'd play, but I'd play to win. I spent the entire night transforming the living room into what I privately called my war room. I printed every bank statement, every email, every text message. I had 3 years' worth of documentation. I created a timeline on poster board, connecting transactions with pieces of string like a detective show. I had dates, amounts, and evidence of intent. I documented the condition of the house, took photos of the thermostat, took photos of Grandma's empty medication bottles. Around 3 in the morning, Grandma shuffled out in her robe, looking better but still frail. She watched me work for a moment, then disappeared into her room. She came back with a battered notebook. "I think you need this." Inside were years of meticulous records. Every loan Victoria had asked for since marrying Frank, every promise to pay it back, every excuse for why she couldn't. Dates, amounts, and notes about what the money was supposedly for versus what Grandma suspected it was really used for. "I've been keeping track for 7 years," she said quietly. "I kept thinking I'd need it someday. I guess that day is today." I hugged her. "Thank you for this. Thank you for not giving up on me. You're my granddaughter. You're James's daughter. You have his good heart. But Alex, you also need to have a backbone. These people have been stealing your life. It's time to take it back." At 6 in the morning, I called the law office of Marcus Thorne. I'd gotten his name from a client at my firm who'd gone through a nasty divorce. When the receptionist answered, I said, "I need to speak to Mr. Thorne about a case of elder financial abuse and fraud. It's urgent." Marcus took my call at 7. I laid out everything: the fake medical emergency, the stolen savings, the drained retirement accounts, the emails proving premeditation, Grandma's condition when I found her, the cruise they were on right now while Grandma had been left to freeze. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then Marcus said, "Miss Harris, this isn't a family dispute. This is criminal. This is elder abuse, fraud, and potentially attempted negligent homicide given your grandmother's condition. I want you to listen to me very carefully. Do not contact your family. Do not warn them. Let them come home thinking everything is fine. Let them walk right into this. In the meantime, I'm going to start building a case. I need you to send me every piece of documentation you have. And I need you to take your grandmother to a doctor immediately and get her condition documented. How much is this going to cost? We'll talk about my fees later. Right now, I want to do this because what they did makes me sick. I have a mother. The thought of someone doing this to her. He paused. Let's just say I'm motivated to nail these people to the wall. I spent Christmas Day taking Grandma to the emergency room and getting a full workup. The doctor's report was damning. Mild hypothermia, severe dehydration, dangerous blood pressure levels due to missed medications. She could have died. The doctor asked if we wanted to file an elder abuse report. I said yes. While we were at the hospital, I was getting text messages from Chloe. They were on the cruise, having a wonderful time. She was sending me photos and updates like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just participated in leaving her grandmother to die while stealing my life savings. Having the best time. The food is amazing. Mom and Frank are so cute together. This is exactly what our family needed. Wish you were here. She followed it up with a selfie of her in a designer sundress, cocktail in hand, the ocean sparkling behind her. I didn't respond. Marcus had told me not to engage. Let them think everything was fine. So I watched from a distance as they documented their betrayal on social media. Chloe posted constantly. Photos of the ship's restaurants, the nightly shows, the ports they visited, always with captions about family and blessings and gratitude. The comments on her posts were full of her followers praising her, telling her how lucky she was, asking about her dress and her makeup. Some people asked how she afforded such a nice vacation. She'd respond vaguely about working hard and saving up. The lies were so casual, so effortless. She'd probably been lying for so long she didn't even register it as lying anymore. Derek posted too, but less frequently. Photos of him and Frank at the casino on the ship, drinks in hand, looking smug. One post showed a pile of poker chips with the caption, "Living my best life. Sometimes you gotta take what's yours." I screenshot that one specifically. It felt like a confession. Mom was more subtle. She posted tasteful photos of sunsets and ocean views with captions about taking time for self-care and focusing on what really matters. People commented about how she deserved this break, how hard she worked. If only they knew. While they were living it up in the Caribbean, I was working with Marcus to build an airtight case. We documented everything. We got statements from the emergency room doctor. We got Grandma's medical records showing she'd missed multiple doses of critical medications. We documented the condition of the house. We compiled every financial transaction. We printed every email and text. On day 3 of their cruise, I got an unexpected message on Facebook. It was from Sarah, Derek's wife. We'd never been close. She'd always seemed quiet, beaten down. I'd tried to connect with her a few times over the years, but Derek always got in the way. Now she was reaching out. "Alex, I need to talk to you. Can you call me?" I called immediately. She answered on the first ring, and I could hear she was crying. "I can't do this anymore," she said. "I can't be part of this family anymore. Derek told me what they did. He told me about the money, about leaving your grandmother. He laughed about it, Alex. He said you were too stupid to do anything about it anyway. He said you'd just keep sending money like you always do." My grip tightened on the phone. "Sarah, are you okay?" "No, I'm not okay. I haven't been okay for years. But I'm done. I'm taking my kids and leaving, and I want to help you. I have evidence. Derek keeps everything on his phone, and I have access. I have texts, I have recordings, I have everything." She sent me screenshots. The family group chat that I'd apparently been excluded from. Messages going back months. Derek writing, "Mom's gonna hit Alex up for the cruise money." "She's so predictable," Frank responding. "She won't do anything about it. She's weak. Always has been." Mom chiming in. "She's been my retirement plan since she got that fancy design job. As long as I keep her guilty and desperate for approval, she'll keep paying." There were more. Plans about how to keep me sending money, jokes about my pathetic need for family, discussions about what they'd ask for next. It was all there, premeditated, calculated, cruel. Sarah's voice was shaking when she spoke again. "I'm so sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was scared. Derek has a temper, and I didn't want to make things worse. But seeing what they did to Evelyn, seeing them laugh about it, I can't stay silent anymore. I want to testify. I want to help you. And I want a divorce. Sarah, are you safe right now?" "I'm at my sister's house with the kids. Derek doesn't know where I am. I left while he was on the cruise. I'm not going back. I sent everything Sarah gave me to Marcus. He called me back within an hour. This is incredible. With this evidence, we don't just have a civil case. We have grounds for criminal charges. The premeditation is clear. The intent to defraud is documented. And the elder abuse, combined with your grandmother's medical condition, could result in serious jail time. What do we do now? We wait. Let them come home. Let them think they got away with it. Then we hit them with everything at once. The waiting was excruciating. They were due back on December 30th. For 5 days, I took care of Grandma, organized my evidence, and tried not to think about the confrontation that was coming. Grandma was getting stronger every day. The food, warmth, and medication were working. But I could see something had changed in her too. She was angrier than I'd ever seen her. Not at me, but at them. "I've been too soft," she told me one evening as we sat watching the news. I let Victoria take advantage of me because I felt sorry for her after James died. I thought she was struggling, so I helped. But she wasn't struggling. She was scheming, and I enabled it. "It's not your fault, Grandma." "Maybe not, but I'm done being a victim. When they get back, I want to be there. I want them to see what they almost did to me. I want them to face what they are." On December 29th, I got a text from Mom. "We're back tomorrow. Can't wait to see you and Mom. Hope you had a good Christmas." The casual tone, the complete lack of awareness, the assumption that everything was fine, it made my blood boil. I responded simply, "See you tomorrow." That night, I barely slept. I went over everything 100 times. Marcus had filed emergency motions to freeze their bank accounts. He'd gotten a restraining order against Derek based on Sarah's testimony about his violent temper and the veiled threats in his texts. He'd filed for an emergency hearing to establish guardianship of Grandma to protect her assets. All of it would hit them tomorrow, but first, I wanted them to see what they'd done. I wanted them to face me. December 30th dawned cold and clear. The blizzard had passed, leaving everything covered in pristine white snow. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it felt ominous. I helped Grandma get dressed. She put on her best outfit, did her hair. "I want to look strong," she said. "I want them to know they didn't break me." We heard the car doors around noon. Laughter. The sound of suitcases dragging. Keys in the door. Then they were inside, tanned and relaxed, looking like they'd had the time of their lives. Because they had. On my money. On Grandma's money. While leaving her to potentially die alone. Victoria walked in first, still wearing designer sunglasses. Her hair perfectly styled. She stopped when she saw us sitting at the dining room table. "Oh, you're here. I wasn't expecting you until tonight." Then, without missing a beat, her face shifted to criticism. "Good Lord, why is it so gloomy in here? You couldn't even clean up to welcome us home? And Evelyn, you look terrible. Are you sick?" I said nothing, just watched her. Watched Frank swagger in behind her, carrying duty-free bags. Watched Chloe bounce in checking her phone, not even looking up. Watched Derek lumber in, already looking annoyed to be home. "Sit down," I said quietly. "We need to talk." Something in my voice made them pause. Victoria laughed nervously. "What's this about? Why do you look so serious?" I said sit down. They sat, confusion, and the first hints of worry crossing their faces. I opened my laptop and connected it to the TV on the wall. Grandma sat beside me, her back straight, her hands folded. "We're going to have a shareholders meeting," I said. "Since you all seem to think this family is a business with me as the primary investor, and all of you as the beneficiaries. Let's review the financials, shall we?" I pressed play. The TV screen came to life with a presentation I'd made. Not amateur, professional. I was a graphic designer after all. The first slide showed their faces from Chloe's Instagram posts, champagne glasses raised, huge smiles. The caption read, "The Harris Family Vacation, a financial deep dive." Victoria tried to speak. "Alex, what is this?" "Shut up and watch." Click. The next slide showed the joint account transactions. Every withdrawal, every transfer. Dates and amounts in red. $12,000 transferred by Alex Harris on December 10th for Evelyn Harris's medical emergency. Except there was no medical emergency, was there? Click. Grandma's medical records appeared. There was no fall, no injury, no need for round-the-clock care, just a lie to extract money from a trusting granddaughter. Click. The cruise ship booking confirmation. $8,000 charged on December 11th, one day after I transferred the money. Click. Credit card statements showing charges at luxury stores, restaurants, the casino, Chloe's designer dress purchases, Frank's gambling losses. Click, photos I'd taken when I arrived. The thermostat showing 52 degrees, the molded food on the kitchen table. The note, take care of Evelyn. Click, photos of Grandma when I found her. I'd taken them at the hospital with her permission. She looked so small, so cold, so vulnerable. Chloe made a small sound of distress. Derek's face went white. Click. Grandma's bank statements showing her depleted accounts. Over $100,000 withdrawn over 5 years. $43,000 in the last year alone. Click. The emails. Mom's words in black and white. She's so predictable. She makes decent money now but wastes it by sending it to us. She could have her own life, but she's too busy trying to earn my approval. It's kind of pathetic, honestly, but useful. Victoria stood up, her hands shaking. Where did you get those? You had no right. Sit down. Something in my voice made her sink back into her chair. I wasn't the Alex she knew anymore. That Alex was gone, buried in the snow with all my false hope and wasted love. Click. The group chat messages. All of them. Plans to manipulate me, jokes at my expense, calculations about how much they could extract. Derek calling me weak, Frank calling me stupid, Mom calling me her retirement plan. The room was dead silent except for the sound of the presentation continuing. I showed them everything. Every lie, every theft, every moment of cruelty. I made them watch as their own words condemned them. When the presentation ended, I turned to face them. I've been documenting your abuse for years without realizing it. Every time I transferred money, every time you made an excuse, every time you lied. I have 3 years of evidence. But the real smoking gun is your own words. Your emails, your texts, your posts. You documented your own crimes. Derek lunged forward, trying to grab my laptop. You fucking bitch, you can't. He didn't get within 3 feet of me. Marcus Thorne stepped out from the kitchen where he'd been waiting. Touch her, and you'll be arrested for assault on top of everything else. Derek froze. Who the hell are you? Marcus Thorne, attorney at law. I represent Miss Harris and Mrs. Evelyn Harris in the matter of financial elder abuse, fraud, theft, and emotional manipulation. As of 9 a.m. this morning, I've filed emergency motions to freeze all your bank accounts pending investigation. Derek Harris, you've been served with a restraining order. You need to stay at least 100 yards away from both Alex and Evelyn. Here are the papers. He handed Derek an envelope. Derek's hands were shaking as he opened it. Marcus continued, pulling out more envelopes. Victoria Harris and Frank Peterson, you're being served with notice of a civil lawsuit demanding full restitution of all funds stolen from Evelyn Harris and Alex Harris, plus damages. That amount currently totals $147,000. But we're still calculating. Criminal complaints have also been filed with the district attorney's office for elder abuse, fraud, and theft. Victoria's face had gone from tan to gray. This is insane. This is my daughter. My mother-in-law. We're family. Grandma stood up. When she spoke, her voice was steady and cold. You are not my family. James was my family. Alex is my family. You are thieves who have been systematically robbing me for years while pretending to care. You left me to die alone in a freezing house so you could go on vacation with stolen money. You are not family. You are criminals. Get out of my house, Grandma continued, her voice getting stronger. This house that I bought with my retirement savings. This house that I gave you out of generosity after my son died. You have abused my kindness for the last time. Get out, all of you. Now. Frank tried one more manipulation. Evelyn, come on. You're not thinking clearly. You've been sick. Let's all calm down and talk about this. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years, Grandma said. I see exactly what you are, what you've always been, parasites, and you're not welcome in my home anymore. Chloe started crying, mascara running down her face. Alex, please. We didn't mean for it to go this far. It just got out of hand. Please don't do this. We're sisters. I looked at her and felt nothing. No anger, no pity, nothing. We were never sisters, Chloe. I was a bank account with legs. That's all I ever was to any of you. Victoria tried one last time, her voice desperate. Alex, honey, you don't understand. We were going to pay you back. This was just temporary. Please, you're my daughter. Don't do this to your family. I'm not doing anything to you, I said. You did this to yourselves. Every transaction, every lie, every moment of cruelty. You built this trap, and you walked right into it. I'm just making sure you face the consequences. Marcus stepped forward again. You have 10 minutes to collect personal belongings and leave. If you're not out by then, I'm calling the police and having you removed for trespassing. The restraining order against Derek is active immediately." They left. It took them 8 minutes. They grabbed a few things, threw them in bags, and scrambled out the door like the house was on fire. Derek tried to say something threatening on his way out, but Marcus held up his phone showing he was recording, and Derek swallowed his words and left. The door closed behind them. The house fell silent. Grandma and I stood there for a moment, just breathing. Then she started laughing. Not hysterically, just genuine laughter. "Oh my God, did you see their faces?" I started laughing too. We laughed until we cried, hugging each other in that living room that suddenly felt lighter, cleaner, free. But we weren't done. Not even close. Over the next few weeks, everything I'd set in motion began to play out. The bank account freezes meant Victoria and Frank couldn't access any money. They'd spent everything on the cruise, and now they had nothing. They had to move in with Frank's brother, sleeping on an air mattress in his basement. Chloe's world imploded spectacularly. I'd set up a blog, simple and clean, called The Truth About Lifestyle Influencers. I posted a carefully edited version of the story, with screenshots and evidence. I didn't name names at first. I didn't have to. Chloe's followers were smart. They recognized her photos, her username from screenshots, her distinctive style. The blog went viral within 48 hours. Then someone connected the dots and posted Chloe's Instagram handle in the comments. Her account got flooded. Thousands of comments calling her out. Her follower count dropped by 30,000 in a week. Brand partnerships sent immediate termination emails. One brand publicly announced they were cutting ties with her because they don't support fraud or elder abuse. Chloe posted a tearful apology video. It was textbook manipulation. Crying, talking about mental health struggles, blaming family dysfunction, asking for forgiveness and understanding. The comments were ruthless. "You left your grandmother to freeze so you could go on a cruise. There's no coming back from that. Apologize to Alex, not to us. This isn't mental health. This is being a terrible person." She deleted her Instagram account 2 days later. Her influencer career was over. Victoria lost her real estate license temporarily while the company investigated the elder abuse allegations. Clients canceled listings left and right. She'd built her business on being family-oriented, trustworthy, someone who cared. When the truth came out, her reputation was destroyed. She couldn't get work. She couldn't pay her bills. The irony wasn't lost on me that now she understood what it felt like to be financially desperate with no one to help. Frank's gambling debts came back to haunt him. With his accounts frozen and no access to money, his creditors started calling. Then they started showing up at Frank's brother's house. I heard through the grapevine that Frank's brother kicked them out after 2 weeks because the harassment was too much. Derek fought the restraining order, but with Sarah's testimony and the threatening messages he'd sent, the judge upheld it. Sarah filed for divorce and got temporary full custody of the kids. Derek moved in with a friend, and from what I heard, was drinking heavily and couldn't keep a job. The civil case moved forward quickly because the evidence was so overwhelming. Marcus was relentless. He deposed all of them separately, caught them in lies, presented evidence they couldn't refute. 3 months after I came home that Christmas Eve, we reached a settlement. They had to sell Victoria's house, my house, Grandma's house, the one she'd bought them. It sold for $420,000. After the mortgage payoff and fees, there was $260,000 left. All of it went to repayment. Every penny I'd sent over the years, documented and verified. Every penny stolen from Grandma, plus damages, plus legal fees. They declared bankruptcy afterward. I felt nothing, no guilt, no satisfaction, nothing. They'd made their choices. These were the consequences. The criminal charges were harder. The DA pursued the elder abuse angle aggressively. With Grandma's medical records and the documented neglect, it was a strong case. But Grandma surprised me. One day she said she didn't want them to go to prison. "I want them to live with what they've done." She said, "I want them to struggle the way they made us struggle. Prison is too easy. Let them rot in their own consequences." We worked with the DA to accept a plea deal: probation, community service, and mandatory restitution. They had to pay $1,000 a month for the next 5 years, even after the settlement, as part of their probation. If they missed a payment, they'd go to jail. I started my design studio with the settlement money, not the original $12,000. More than that, I'd gotten back every penny I'd sent over 3 years, with interest and damages. It was enough to lease office space, buy equipment, hire an assistant. I called it Clarity Design, because that's what this whole experience had given me. Clarity. The business took off faster than I'd imagined. Turns out when you're not emotionally destroyed by toxic family members, you have a lot more creative energy. I worked with small businesses, nonprofits, artists, people who appreciated good work and paid fair prices. Within 6 months, I had a waiting list. Grandma and I moved into a beautiful apartment together. 2 bedrooms, lots of natural light, a small balcony where we could have coffee in the morning. We lived like roommates, like friends. She'd cook her favorite recipes and tell me stories about Dad. I'd show her my design work and ask for her opinion. It was peaceful in a way I'd never experienced. Sarah and her kids came over for dinner sometimes. She was rebuilding her life too, working as a teacher and slowly becoming the person she'd been before Derek. Her kids were happier, lighter. She told me once, "Thank you for having the courage I didn't have. Watching you stand up to them gave me permission to do the same." I didn't talk to Victoria, Frank, Chloe, or Derek. Not once. They tried reaching out a few times in the first few months. Emails begging for forgiveness, claiming they'd changed. I deleted them without reading past the first line. They'd had years to change, years to treat me like a person instead of an ATM. They made their choices. On Christmas Eve, 1 year after I'd driven through that blizzard, Grandma and I decorated a tree in our new apartment. We hung ornaments that had been Dad's, played his favorite music, made his chocolate chip pancakes for dinner. The TV was on in the background, and a local news story came on about holiday employment. There was Mom, wearing a retail vest, looking exhausted and about 10 years older. Grandma saw it and just shook her head. That woman had everything: a free house, family who loved her, opportunities. She threw it all away for greed. I felt a tiny pang of something. Not pity, just sadness for what could have been. "Do you think I did the right thing?" Grandma turned to me, her eyes fierce. "You did the only thing. You saved yourself. You saved me. You stopped them from destroying anyone else. That's not revenge, sweetheart. That's justice." She was right. I hadn't acted out of revenge. I'd acted out of self-preservation. There's a difference. Revenge is about hurting someone because they hurt you. Justice is about holding people accountable for their actions and protecting others from being hurt the same way. I chose justice. Looking out at the snow falling gently outside our window, I realized something profound. The silence in our apartment wasn't empty. It was full of peace. The peace that comes from no longer carrying the weight of people who never valued you. The peace that comes from knowing your worth and refusing to accept less. The peace that comes from choosing yourself. I'd spent so many years trying to earn love from people who were incapable of giving it. I'd sacrificed my dreams, my money, my mental health, all for the hope that if I just gave enough, tried hard enough, was good enough, they would finally see me, finally value me, finally love me. But you can't earn something that was never available in the first place. They didn't love me. They loved what I could do for them. And the moment I stopped being useful, I became the enemy. The hardest truth I had to accept was that I was never the problem. I wasn't too sensitive. I wasn't too dramatic. I wasn't selfish for wanting basic respect and appreciation. I was a good person trying to love people who were fundamentally incapable of loving me back. Your family should build you up, not tear you down. They should celebrate your success, not resent it. And if they can't do that, if they only see you as a resource to exploit, then they're not your family. They're just people you happen to be related to, and you don't owe them your life, your money, or your mental health. I learned that the hard way, but I learned it. And now I'm building a life that's actually mine, surrounded by people who actually love me, not what I can give them, just me. Sometimes the greatest act of love you can show yourself is walking away from people who don't value you, even if they share your blood, especially if they share your blood. Have you ever had to make the impossible choice between family loyalty and self-preservation? Have you ever been made to feel guilty for setting boundaries with people who were supposed to love you? Drop your story in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button if this resonated with you, and smash that like button if you believe in standing up for yourself. Let's build a community of people who refuse to be doormats anymore. Your story matters, and you're not alone.